Hello, dear students. This is Dr. Govind Saraswat, Assistant Professor in English from Government College, Degana. Dear students, today we are going to talk about a form of literature that is essay. There are various genres of literature in which it is written, like drama, poetry, novel, short story, and of course, this essay also. My intention in this lecture is to uh, discuss the essential information regarding this genre in a comprehensive manner, where we'll talk about its nature, its origin, the definitions which we have at our disposal, then its characteristics, along with various types of this genre. Let's begin with the origin of this genre. According to its literal derivation, the word essay has the same meaning as the word essay. Now, this essay means an attempt or an effort. The Greek Theophrastus and Plutarch, and then the Romans like Cicero and Seneca, they started writing essays long before the genre was given its standard name by Montaigne's great French essays in 1580. The essay is a composition that is somewhat tentative or experimental and somewhat incomplete and unsystematic. Various efforts have been made to define the essay from Bacon onwards, and all of them center around this literal significance of the word. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as a composition of moderate length on any particular subject, originally implying want of finish, but now said of a composition more or less elaborate in style, though limited in range. The most common and easy definition that we have is given by M.H. Abrahams when he writes that an essay is any brief composition in prose that undertakes to discuss a matter, express a point of view, or persuade us to accept a thesis on any subject whatever. So that is this definition by M.H. Abrahams covers every essential aspect of this genre, that it should be brief, it should be written in prose, and it should discuss a matter, and the point of view of the writer should be written in such a way that it can persuade us to accept uh, whatever he has written in a general way. Then uh, we should talk about the chief characteristics of this genre. The first one is that it is a prose composition, a brief or of modern length. This brevity or shortness of the essay doesn't arise from the superficiality or lack of the knowledge of its author. Rather, it results from the fact that he has full command over his subject and so can express himself in a condensed language. Like the short story, the essay should also be written in a brief manner, because if it will be lengthy, it can be extended uh, within the realm of novella and novel also. And the writer or the essayist should arrange his material in a condensed manner. He should say many things using few sentences. He should suggest a lot of things because he has to use that kind of language. That is the demand of this genre. Then the second feature is that the essay is incomplete. It is not exhaustive. The essay doesn't say all that is to be said on the subject. On the other hand, he writes only on those aspects of the language or the subject which he considers most significant and leaves out the rest. Then this essay can be personal, it can be impersonal. Some writers Some essayists use a subjective approach, whereas others an objective. Then a good essay should be attractive and charming so that it may easily retain uh, so that it may be easily retained in the mind. It should have a touch of humor also, uh, because if it has humor, if it has a different way of presentation, it will create a charm. Although it is different from short story, the charm which we have with the short story lacks here in the essay, but the genres, they have their different characteristics and their charm lies in different things. So after this discussion over the chief characteristics of essay, let's talk about its various kinds or types of essays. There are formal, informal, then aphoristic essays. The formal essay is relatively impersonal. M.H. Abram writes that the author, in an impersonal or formal essay, writes as an authority or at least as highly knowledgeable. It means when an essayist writes a formal essay, he should write as an authority. He should have command over his subject. He should have a sound knowledge of what is to be written. And the subject he uh, is about to write. Examples will be found among the serious articles on current topics and issues and in any of the magazines addressed to a thoughtful audience. So, the audience of a formal essay, that is also certain, because the essayist knows very well that he is writing a formal essay to a certain group of reader. Then the informal essay. It can also be known as a personal essay, because in this informal or personal essay, the author assumes a tone of intimacy with his audience. Mark the difference. In the formal essay, the essayist doesn't connect himself in a personal or familiar manner with the readers, whereas in the personal essay, he assumes a tone of intimacy with his audience. He tends to be concerned with everyday things rather than with public affairs or specialized topics, and writes in a relaxed, self revelatory, and often whimsical fashion. So, in the personal essay, the essayist chooses topics from everyday life, and he writes in a very cool and relaxed manner. And this connects the readers with this type, informal or personal essay. Then we have aphoristic essay. Aphoristic essays are also impersonal essays, and they are written by Francis Bacon, who is the chief exponent of this kind of essay. Aphoristic essay means using few lines and suggesting a lot of things. The essays of Francis Bacon are very short in length, and they are on those topics which we uh, generally have in our life, like they may be abstract also, like of truth, of adversity, of death. So he talks about these things, but whatever he writes that incorporates a deep philosophy, every line needs a, an explanation. Because when I taught my students of studies It is an essay written in 1.5 pages, but it took me 3 hours to explain this essay. It is because whatever Francis Bacon has written in an aphoristic style, that needs lot of explanation. That is why aphoristic essays, they become somewhat complex also, because Bacon uses some Latin phrases in his essays. Then, with the approach of next age, we have periodical essay. It it came into vogue with the birth of with the birth of essays, with the birth of newspapers and some weeklies. Uh, Steele and Edison, they started writing these essays. First of all, they this in the Spectator and then in the Tatler. They are the weeklies in which they started publishing their essays in a regular manner. So they are taken to be the journalistic essays. After all this discussion about the nature, origin, the characteristics, and then various types of this genre, let's talk about those essayists who made this genre very popular. First of all, there is Francis Bacon, no doubt. He has established the identity of this English essay in literature. His essays are generally known as counsels, civil, and moral. And after Francis Bacon, we have Hazlitt, Leigh Hunt, then we have Edison and Steele. We have Thomas Carlyle and Ruskin also, Leslie Stephen, and there are many more in the modern age. I hope that uh, I I have covered the essential information of this genre, and it will be very helpful for you. Thank you for listening me carefully.